I decided to run as an independent, and I decided to run period, not just as an independent. But the reason I decided to run was because of Jim Hood. And I look back over the last 12 or 13 years as to how bad Jim Hood did my friend Frank Milton. He tried to put him away. He tried unsuccessfully for 3 times back in 2007 and 2006. And I never will forget that Frank Milton had been out of the hospital 1 week to the day. He had about 6 clamps in his heart, in his chest rather, and about 60 or 70 stitches. He had just had open heart surgery, and Jim Hood had Frank Milton arrested. He was thrown in a drunk tank, and I thought that was deplorable. And to add insult to injury, he tried a high-tech lynching of a good friend of mine, Robert Schuler Smith, who I had been with since day one, and it didn't work. And as a matter of fact, he tried him 2 or 3 times here in Jackson, and took him over to Rankin County for a high-tech lynching. However, there was an all-white jury of 6 white men and 6 white women acquitted Robert Schuler Smith on all those charges, and they deadlocked on 1 charge. But they called Jim Hood a liar, and they told him to get out of Rankin County with his vicious attacks and outright hateful lies on Robert Schuler Smith, and don't come back over there spreading that kind of hate in that community. I remember there was a guy from Terry, and his name was, he's the former mayor of Terry. His name was Rod Nicholson, I believe. Rod used a credit card that belonged to the city of Terry. He used it to purchase some tires. Jim Hood convicted Rod Nicholson. Rod got 42 years. He got sentenced to 42 years for that same crime. Now, for that same exact crime, Ben Allen got convicted for. He got a sentence of 2 years. And by the way, a black judge by the name of gee whiz, this black judge downtown Jackson is coming in a minute. He suspended all of Jim Hood's time, and Jim Hood got no time. But that wasn't enough for Jim Hood. He decided that he was going to appeal his no sentence, and this same guy who resigned from the Supreme Court, Bill Waller, and to run for governor, Bill Waller decided that he was going to overturn Robert Schuler Smith's conviction of Ben Allen, and now Ben Allen does not have a felony, and I'm sure that's good. But if you look at it, just a week or so ago, it shows you the enemy of my enemy is my friend, because lifetime Republican Ben Allen really came after Republican Tate Reeves and said he was going to vote for Jim Hood. So that just goes to show you that the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Why am I concerned? Well, because it shows. Okay, here, he is blatantly said, and I've been preaching this all summer, Jim Hood will not support Jennifer Riley Collins. Now let's look at Jennifer Riley Collins. Jennifer Riley Collins is an attorney. I assume she was a judge advocate general. She spent 32 years as a military intelligence officer, and she retired as a full colonel. Okay, we owe her a debt of gratitude, and I salute her for her service to this country, to the United States. If Jim Hood cannot support this black female who is extremely talented, and he said on television just yesterday, or the day before yesterday, that his dad told him not to get in anybody else's business, then why is it that he won't support any candidate in general, but any black candidate in particular? Hell, this guy won't even endorse. He won't even endorse Benny Thompson, and he can't go to the bathroom without calling Benny Thompson. And that's a fact. I know that crowd. So why should we support him when he won't support any of us? He won't support any Democrat, anybody, period. The only people he's going to support is a handful of trial lawyers. Now, if you may note that in the time that Jim Hood has been in the Attorney General's office for the last 17 years, there's been over 1,000 black men and women too, and black and white, but in particular black men that have been killed and shot down and murdered in the streets of Jackson. And Jim Hood's only response was to arrest Robert Schuller Smith, the man that's trying to do something about it. So Jim Hood is no good. He's not going to support these black candidates, in particular Democrats. The reason why, because Jim Hood has always been a stout Republican, and he's just not going to do it. You couldn't pay him all the money in the world just to support a Democrat, period. Jim Hood and Jim Jones, and you don't know enough to know who Jim Jones is, but intellectually I'm sure you've heard, Jim Jones was a preacher and led a cult of black people to down in Guyana, in Central America in 1978. And he persuaded those people, he had such a spell on them, he persuaded those people, about 900 of them, to drink poison Kool-Aid laced with cyanide. So, Jim Hood and Jim Jones, the only difference is they have a lot in common. Both of them have some spells on black people. If Jim Hood won't vote for me, I won't vote for him. But I will say this much. I wholeheartedly support and I endorse Jennifer Rowley Collins. Now, I don't know if they're going to endorse me, but if you go back and take that whole ticket, who consists of black folks running for statewide office and Democrats, the mayor of Hattiesburg, senator from North Mississippi, and certainly others, Jennifer Rowley Collins, Senator Simmons. Jim Hood is not going to support him, but I support him. He has a guy named Ronnie Showers. He pretended all summer that he was going to support these guys, but we have evidence that he's been meeting with their Republican counterparts, and it's just not going to happen. Here's what I do know. I'm running on a party, the Constitution Party, who hates taxes more than God hates sin. But sometimes we have to balance our head with our heart. Now, we've got to do something about our crumbling infrastructure. Now, whether it's a flat tax or some other kind of tax, I'm ready to take a hard look at revenue enhancement. But let me tell you about both Jim Hood and Tate Reeves. Tate Reeves is a Republican. Tate Reeves will not shake hands with the tax increase if it will save the state. Jim Hood, on the other hand, will not shake hands with the truth if it saved his life. But me, Bob Hickingbottom, I'm going to tell you the truth. On day one, I would accept the Medicaid expansion. I'm told, I don't know how factual it is, but I believe it's a fact. Had we taken that money when it was first offered, it would have been well over $2 billion. But I would accept that $2 billion, that $1 billion plus, and I would use that money to show up to save our rural hospitals, to go into Delta and rural areas. I met with a young lady by the name of Dr. Clara Reed. She's a guru in the Delta. She owns home health in the Delta. She's very concerned about health. She says healthcare outcomes, and there's such a need for doctors and nurses till they're overwhelmed. As a matter of fact, Dr. Reed is proposing that we go out and look at trying to find doctors and medical people that are already incarcerated and see if we can get them to come to Delta and work for minimum wage just to help the poor people and help patients. And that way they can get minimum wage, and once they done with their sentence, maybe they'll go ahead and stay in the Delta and in rural parts of Mississippi. So we need it bad. Our schools are falling apart. We need technical education for our kids so they can get jobs as like welders and pipe fitters and nurses. That's a 2-year nursing program, air conditioning, electrician people. Those are the kind of people that make great salaries. They're not, you can do it within 2 years normally, and you don't have to be saddled with a lot of student loan debt. And that's what I want to see in Mississippi. Why is it that many of our students go to school 12, 13, and 14 years and come out with the 5th grade education. Now we got to do better than that in Mississippi. The other thing I would propose is that we bring our first responders, police officers, teachers, and people that are working hard for the community. I'd like to bring their salary up to the southeastern average. I don't know how we're going to pay for it, but we got to look at ways of paying for it, whether it's a revenue enhancement, flat tax, or some other source. We got to take a hard look at it, and we can't be afraid. We just can't put our heads in the sand and say, you know, I'm not going to react. We got to do something. Well, my support comes from the people. For the last 25 years, I've been a political operative, and I guess you would call it a political supporter and even a campaign manager. I basically have been involved with every major campaign that's been in Hinds County and in most places in Mississippi for the last 25 years. So I get my support from the people. I've had radio talk shows. I've been a lead man. I was back in 2005. I led the fight on the radio for Frank Melton and so many others. So I get my support from the people. It's a ground rules campaign, but I think we're doing exceptionally well. I went to 72 counties this summer. I was very lucky to have good people, and I've got some good people that are advising me. I've got great campaign people, and I'm just lucky. I'm probably one of the luckiest men in the world. I love what I'm doing, and I love doing this. Well, I'd like to ask people to come out and vote for Bob Hickingbottom. Bob Hickingbottom is a mature, self-motivated, and result-oriented individual who I'm willing to give hard work, loyalty, honesty, and a dedicated commitment to perform to the best of my ability to make certain that our goals are obtained. I will not lie to you. I'll tell you this hard facts. But what I do know is that whatever we do, we got to go back up into the Delta, and we got to make sure that those pumps are working. We got to try to save the Delta because nobody's moving there, and healthcare outcomes are not good. You know, when we have tornadoes in Mississippi and hurricanes like Katrina, people in other areas that are not affected say it's not my problem. Well, it is our problem, and I want to tell the people this: when one Mississippian hurt, we all hurt, and I think we got to work together for the better cause in Mississippi. One Mississippian hurt, we all hurt, and I firmly believe that.